But the enemy is ruthless and desperate, and he is armed to the teeth. Against such a brutal foe, no amount of civil disobedience or of sabotage or of revolutionary terrorism can be of any avail. If therefore we want to expel British power from India, we have to fight the enemy with his own weapons.
Behind this gate, from the white building, rose a phenomenon, steeped in extreme pride and patriotism, dripping with unequivocal ambition. The ambition to liberate India from the clutches of pain and prejudice, strife and oppression, dishonor and indignity, armed with an unprecedented courage to take on the mighty British Empire. And his clarion call,
I demand of you one thing above all. I demand of you blood. It is blood alone that can avenge the blood the enemy has spilt. It is blood alone that can pay the price of freedom. Give me blood, and I promise you freedom.
Chalo Dilli, give me blood, I will give you freedom, reverberated across the nation and shook the consciousness of India, soliciting sacrifice, blood and life, all in the name of freedom for one's motherland. A call that swept far and wide, deep and distant, found resonance among destitute and privileged alike in awakening a dormant spirit that had only talked of a dream, the dream of freedom, but wilted under the crushing force of the British Empire. The immensity of gumption writ large in the idea of raising an army to uproot the British imperial regime and to unfurl the tricolour in the rampart of the Lal Qila thus led to the birth of the Indian National Army, the Azad Hind Fauj. Seductive in its appeal, provocative in its origin, and uncompromising in its ethos, the Azad Hind Fauj became a collection of patriots from Japan to Singapore, from India to Burma, across India, through the hinterland and backwaters, through the cities and small towns, through its sheer force of appeal that hit the chord with the youth of the time. Many jumped into it, leaving behind their families, love and marriage. Young, raw, determined and motivated, conjoined by a common thread, a belief system called Netaji. Their victory may have been short-lived in Imphal. Their destiny may have remained unreached. Some didn't return, and some did, only to grapple with a new reality. It is their pain, their sacrifice, the ostracism, through the lens of suspicion, they rebuilt their lives in newly independent India. Tucked away from the urban pace, chugging along in the relative anonymity of day-to-day life, the hands that tremble now, fighting old age, creaking bones, the halting walk, the imprint of many years upon him, passed through casting bodily wrinkles and misery, its cruel test, sometimes as if a punishment that has no end, kept tormenting a victim who through his extreme endurance has dealt with them all. The British force, life in jail, extreme penury, ostracism, a subject of suspicion, uprooted by the will of fate but reinstated by the resilience of his sheer willpower. Utsav Jena, at 92, has embraced a life that is dotted with nothing but sacrifices, losing everything along the way: his time, his youth, his army mates, his leader. Time has left him couched in the giant room of his memories, where he is all by himself, all alone in the storehouse of nostalgia. His journey as a shop attendant, fending for his family and making ends meet, surrendered to the call of Chalo Delhi, from Gopalpur to Calcutta to Rangoon. Utsav Jena hopped many a port as a 9-year-old trying to eke a livelihood. But the call to serve his motherland made everything else unimportant to him. And he was willing to lead a life whose ending was written in blood and death, and that too in an unknown land.
डाकी डाकी आसो से किए जीव लड़े आज ये 4 जन काम कर दुकान में सब चलनी कहले जड़े रह चल सब छाड़ी गले लड़े केते मले केते हजले कौन जेते थे जे यही कथा कर राज्य जीवन दब जीवन देले राज्य मिल आ प्रकृत राज्य मिलला कौन जीवन मान केते लोक जीवन दे बाकी रही आ कि खोजा ना केते मरुंट के हजुंट के भाषी केते कष्ट से खजार भी राज्य मिली ना राज्य कौन मिल पार बहुत कष्ट है.
Many call it magnetism. Many reckon it as magical. The relationship between the INA soldiers and Netaji remained largely unexplained as to what constituted such mad following.
साथी बसवे ना सब कथा जना तेलुगु कथा जना ओडिया कथा जना हिंदुस्तानी कथा सब कथा बरुआ कथा जना से भगवान निश्चय मनुष्य नुह पिला साथी पिला बड़ कथा से लोक मिलला से सहज ना रागिवा नुह.
Staring at death in the face of fellow soldiers, succumbing to the British Army's blazing guns, picking one hand off his colleague, severed by the machine guns, only to see him die the following day. Utsav Jena stumbled many such body bags of his friends. Some were lost, never to be found again. He flirted with the kiss of death.
Subara. से शिगला इंटी मारिबो इंटी करिबो इंटी जीवो ना एपटे आसले बिसनी गान चलेबो एपटे चलेबो जहाँ बतेबे ता करलो बोले ऊपर इंटी अनेक रही थो यार जो आसो बिसनी गाँव एकदम गोटे खड़ो तर ये डेटाटा को छेड़ धरी पड़ा बोला कि साथ साथ बेडिंग करी गला ता बिनु मरीगला केते लोक हजुसती कौन बाबा कहला.
Upon the reverses suffered by the Azad Hind Fauj, taken in as a prisoner of war, left to his fate, first in insane jail and later in Rangoon Central Jail, Utsav Jena had reconciled to the consequences he knew that any war path would lead to. Without exception, the brunt of being a war prisoner wasn't any different that constituted humiliation and suffering. Upon his release, Utsav Jena stayed back in Burma to raise his family by working as a filling station attendant in a Burmese oil company. Life was reasonably fine, but only just briefly.
Life set भल थला हमको कौन से असुविधा पड़थला माने मु जति जाने भितरे हम रहउथलो सब प्रकार फैसिलिटी थला ताबरे आ सेतलो से सर्विस कर बेउस रे पाई गेले सर्विस हम जो मैं पेट्रोल फिलर करथले फिलर करके छांदे तापरे सेतरे से जा के अल्प दरमा कम थाए तो केते 20-25 टाइम मिलथला सेतरे हमको चलता अणा पैसा पाइला से होथला से सोतरे मैनेज होथला तापर धीरे धीरे सेठू यांकर टिके माने ज्योतिर्विज्ञान विषय टिके पाठ माने ये जो माने ये विद्या जानथिले खड़ी विद्या से पाठ करके चारियाड बुली बुली के 2 पैसा पाउथले एंदे पैसा पत्र किछि पाई के सेठी भलो हमर चलाचल भलथला.
Then came a time to uproot all that he had in Burma. He returned to India in 1963 after a gap of 32 years, only to be scorned, spurned, and distanced by his own people. Leaving everything behind with a family of 6 to fend for, including 1 son and 3 daughters, life for Utsav Jena returned in the meanest possible way. No land or property except some savings. He had nothing on him. Outside of his daily laborer's job, he had to rely on his flimsy grasp over astrology, oddly enough, to extract a bit more, but never enough.
जीवन केमती काटा एम पढ़ु था मुझे पढ़े मासाम काम को केत ढल पड़े साढ़े कमलाबाड़ी बनगाँव बरमादार निपिजौ आनाक कमलाबाड़ी ना सोनकपुर सब आड़े बुलिकी कर बचाई
आर्थिक अवस्था टी शोचनीय था खाया पीवा असुविधा था जहाँ कि संपत्ति जहाँ थी से सब छाड़ी आसा पड़ा मैंने आम पासपोर्ट ये सब अलाउ नाला जहाँ कि सामान अल्प कि धरिक आसलु ये आसला आमर बापा गाँव गलु से भल ये ट्रिट देलेनि ट्रिट नदेव आम आमर ये जन बंधु थे पाख आसिक दिन रहिलु रहा गोटे घर गोटे छोटिया घर बखराटे से दिन चलु तापर धीरे धीरे बहुत कष्ट पाई मैंने चलवाटा कष्ट होता जहाँ कि अल्प सोना फोना था से किसी मैंने बिका बिक कर खाऊल जमबाड़ी तो नाला कि ना आम छोट छोट थी सब आम कम कर नाला सी निजे कम करते मटी कम जाते जाकि आसुले जहाँ कि से चलते यही प्रकार आम अवस्था चलते.
After wading through a long drawn legal battle, life finally shone on Utsav Jena in 2005 when he got a decree from the High Court that paved the way for a monthly pension recognizing his contribution to the INA in the struggle for India's independence. His INA mentor S.S. Yadav chipped in with letters of acknowledgement that ensured Utsav Jena his pride of place.
High Court रे गला जाए जा आमर नढ़ई वाला कहला से बाहर नढ़ई नेस्टर प्रथम बंगाली मोर से कहला देखू मोर सर्टिफिकेट अच्छी तू मो साथ अच्छु हाँ तू माल दौथ मुझे जाड़ी तू करे सुबाराव बहुत लोक यादव कहले तुम मत फेर जाओ एक दूसरा हमारा चिट्ठी ले जाओ जा कोर्ट करो हाईकोर्ट में हाईकोर्ट गला खुण यार नाट पठेला कौटे बेगुनिया से कहला सब लेखा लेखी सब कले बर्मा को जाइल सब करदे
ये पढ़ापढ़ी कली पढ़ापढ़ी करके मैट्रिक पास कले बहुत कष्ट पास करके तब मुझे निजे ट्यूशन करी पिला छोट छोट पिला से चलाचल होता धीरे धीरे से पाने ये बापा कम पलाते मुझे पढ़े बड़ कष्ट से पैसा मैनेज करूँ दिने खाले दिने चलू असुविधा चलता तब मुझे 70 पास कली मैट्रिक तब 71 पढ़ेली कोरापुट इंटरव्यू देकी टीचर से तब धीरे धीरे मुझे पैसा पत्र पठाए मैंने चलती बड़ कष्ट सब धीरे धीरे से पैसा भौणी मानकर मैरेज है सब है मोर मत मैरेज है एमती कर से बहुत कष्ट जीवनटा लाइफ कटि से जो से 10-15-20 वर्ष बहुत हरण हो.
Engulfed by the hollowness of life, bereft of his contemporaries, Utsav Jena has nothing on his side except sitting on layers and layers of memories. Memories riddled with sacrifices that saw everyone getting snatched away from him. His friends, his leader, his youth, all for a call that he couldn't resist as a teenager.
Give me blood, and I promise you freedom.
On the edge of the NH5, Manipada is home to many who have joined the Indian Army. as if a theme of combative trait has been laid strongly in an otherwise nondescript village that from its exterior mirrors its usual simplicity. But a patriarch who left behind a legacy of courage and sacrifice, and reckoned as one of the tallest figures of INA returnee, late Kapil Charan Rai, is Madipada's shining glory. Like any INA loyalists, late Kapil Charan Rai on many occasions bared his fervour and explained the cosmic connection between him and Netaji. He famously said, "His every drop of blood is flowing through my body, through my veins." He passed away in 2014, having brushed through 98 years of his life, tantalizingly short of a glorious 100. Giving in to the call of liberating his motherland, Kapil Charan Rai too left for Burma, barely out of his 8th class back then, working in a tea garden in Assam. Rai jumped the fence across only to spend 3.5 decades where the Azad Hind Fauj lent him combat training. Trained at the 4th Gausala B Company with the rank of a soldier under Commander Gyan Singh, Kapil Charan Rai survived a bullet strike on his left leg. His fellow soldiers were less fortunate in the rain of bullets. After having served 15 months in prison, Rai was released in July 1946, but he kept himself immersed with his life in Burma. In the interim, he lost his parents back home in India. At the age of 50, Rai returned to India, leaving behind his Burmese wife and children. Madipada had found its hero in Kapil Charan Rai, who then formed a military-like training setup to keep the young boys of the village engaged in cleaning roads and ponds. In the process, he inspired them to join the Indian Armed Forces.
ସେ ଭିତରେ ତାଙ୍କର ପ୍ରଗାଢ଼ ଇଏ ଥିଲା ଯେ ମାନେ ସାମରିକ ହେଇକି ଯେମିତି ମାନେ ଭାରତକୁ ଯେମିତି ଆମେ ସ୍ୱାଧୀନ କଲୁ ସେଇ ଟାଇପ୍ର ସଂଗ୍ରାମ ଜାରି କରିବା ଦରକାର। ଯେତେବେଳେ ସେ ଆସିଲେ ଗାଁ ମାଟିକି ସେତେବେଳେ ସେ ଗୋଟେ ସାମରିକ ସଂଗଠନ ଗଠନ କଲେ ଏବଂ ଗାଁର ଚତୁଃପାର୍ଶ୍ୱ ପରିଷ୍କାର ପୋଖରୀରେ ପରିଷ୍କାର ପରିଚ୍ଛନ୍ନତା ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରେ। କେଉଁ ସ୍କୁଲ କଲେଜରେ ଯାଇକି ଏଇ ସାମରିକ ଉପରେ ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ କିଛି ସହଯୋଗ କରନ୍ତି ଆଉ ଏନ୍ସିସି ନିଅ ସ୍କାଉଟ୍ କର ତାପରେ ଗାଁ ସଫା କର ଏସବୁ ଅଭିଯାନ ଉପରେ ବେଶୀ ପିଲାଙ୍କୁ ପ୍ରେରଣା କରନ୍ତି ଆଉ।
This veranda, once echoed his fierce and authoritative walk, has now fallen silent. So did this village that has lost a father figure, full of ideals and an imposing personality. At the time of receiving his monthly pension, it became an occasion of celebration, of recollection of battle days. They found consolation in each other's pain, but the greater triumph of their sacrifice overshadowed all else. These acknowledgements are too small, too little in their dimension on the larger canvas of their valor and chutzpah. After a bigger war, this is a minor battle against his own failing memory. Once, this bronze medal hung proudly, shining with glory, placed elegantly on his chest. Now, a rare prized possession. But Khali Pradhan, at the age of 96, struggles to recognize what it is. The mind has frozen the door on memory. His speech has slurred and turned incoherent. To walk, he needs an assistant. Khali Pradhan is battling another fight against aging, against deserting faculties, and against the inevitable realities of old age. The meaning of sacrifice often takes root through various forms of relationships that endure the pain of separation and temporary loss of human contact. One such was Khali Pradhan's. As a 12-year-old, Khali Pradhan found a source of sustenance in the faraway lands of Burma. Working as a daily wage laborer, he stayed afloat to support his family back home. Only into the first month of his marriage to Sulei, in a collision of choices between his motherland and an old ailing mother, Khali Pradhan uninhibitedly chose his motherland over his mother and his newly wedded wife, who needed him the most, in a house that was an emblem of poverty and deprivation. A thatched roof left at the mercy of the elements. In the Azad Hind Fauj, Khali Pradhan found his bigger calling.
बाहर हेकी पुरा से गले फेरी मासे रहिकिरी सासु तो थिले सासु पाखरे मु रहिथिली आ तापरे 5 वर्ष पर से आसिले.
Sulei Pradhan had nothing by her side other than an ailing mother-in-law, a tattered house, and abject poverty. They formed an alliance to torment her every day. After 5 years, Khali Pradhan returned one day, escaping death and serving jail to stitch together a life all over with his wife. But poverty didn't abate. It hit them hard through and through. Khali Pradhan resorted to what he knew best, his daily laborer's job. Taking care of a family that included his 2 daughters, he showed his battle resilience, rebuilding his life brick by brick.
किछि नथिला खाली जगाटा थिला किछि नथिला ये तो नथिले आ बुढ़ी तो निका वृद्ध हो गेलेनी आ घर द्वार किए छपर करदी खाली खजुरी बाड़ दिहरे गोटे घर करके से थिले से तो सेठा लोक एठी किछि करंतिनी बड़ दुखे रे थेलु आस्ते आस्ते टिके बाटू आछि आ बहुत दुखे रे थेलु.
Time and age have taken away many who return to their motherland after serving in the Azad Hind Fauj. One after the other, these unknown faces are fast fading into oblivion. Who were they? What were they? In the matrix of India's struggle for independence, the display of Azad Hind Fauj's extreme valor was a placement of consciousness. The torrent of power had not aroused like this. Never before, never after. And now, it is upon this generation to commemorate and preserve this trail of pride, sacrifice, and unwavering passion for one's motherland that these forgotten soldiers have left behind.
ओडिशा रे जो माने आजाद हिंद फौज रे जोग देइथिले तांको विषय रे किछि तथ्य नथिला सेटा बर्तमान राज्य सरकार तरफरु बहुत जोर चेष्टा चलती से आम गोटे आल्बम प्रस्तुत करछु 339 जनकर ना से स्थान पाई तेणु बर्तमान सहित जोगाजोग करने चेष्टा चली.
Immobility and age may have drawn them farther from their prime, but the spirit of marching ahead still remains undiminished. The resonance of the clarion call is still shooting through those creaking bones, crooked legs, and tired, wilted feet that once marched on and on and on.